Welcome, everyone, to this week's edition of the Commercial Real Estate 101 podcast. Excited to see you all this afternoon. For those of you guys who are tuning in for the first time, this is a podcast we started back in 2020 to kind of become the watering hole of commercial real estate topics. And today we have an interesting guest located in Kansas City. He is actively pursuing a commercial real estate redevelopment project kind of in the urban core of Kansas City. It's a really exciting project, and we're really excited to dive into his background and also a little bit about the project itself. So, Zach Molzer with Molzer Development, great to see you, my friend.
Likewise. 2 projects, by the way, both redevelopments.
Both redevelopments. Okay, great. Well, yeah, we'll talk about both projects. And the one I know specifically was the Aladdin Hotel development, which I'm not sure if that's where you're currently at. If you guys are watching this.
I'm at the Holtman building right now, our other redevelopment process.
Got it. Yeah. So for those of you guys who don't know, if you're watching this on a YouTube setting or just in a live stream, he is on site at one of the projects. So that's part of being a developer, right? You constantly have to be relocating yourself to the different projects to make sure everything is on track. So excited to have you, my friend. As far as the structure of the way that we typically handle the podcast episodes is we like to learn a little bit more about the person that we're interviewing. So if you don't mind sharing a little bit about your backstory, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, let's do it. So Zach Molzer, principal and founder of Molzer Development, born and raised here in Kansas City. I grew up here, went to college at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, go Big Red. Apparently we're a basketball school now, which is very exciting. After graduation, graduated with a management degree, went and worked for a developer down in Tulsa, doing everything from capital raising, acquisitions, funding. We self-GC'd, self-operated. So really throw you to the fire and figure it out. Was down there for about 2 years and then decided to spread my wings and fly. So in February of 2024, I started Molzer Development with the goal to challenge the status quo and shape communities through design-focused development and building in public. Since inception, we are currently under construction on about $45 million worth of projects. We close on 3 additional buildings in the next 2 months. We'll break ground on other redevelopments next year, totaling about $140 million. So we've got a lot of things going on. I'm excited to get both of our first projects open in June and keep this train running.
That's exciting, man. So in a 2-year timeline, you've already kind of worked on or working towards finalizing 2 projects. So that's a big swing in the first few years. So that's really exciting.
Yes.
So you kind of mentioned redevelopment. I mean, why adaptive reuse? Why not just go the ground up construction route? Go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. I think a couple things. We are doing ground up as well. We'll break ground on 50 townhomes here in Kansas City, hopefully Q1 of next year, might bleed into Q2. Redevelopments are very intriguing, especially if you consider the basis in which you can get some of these properties at. Often in a downtown urban core and a great environment, a great location. The Aladdin and the Holtman building, the one that we're sitting in right now, you can't build these assets again. The integrity, the quality of work, the craftsmanship that went into these buildings back when they were built in the 20s. This one was built in 1918. You simply can't replicate. So if you can come in and buy an asset at an attractive basis, and I think the other part about it is you can have so much creativity and flexibility with the end uses. So like this building will be 12,000 square feet of office and retail, 8 super high-end lofts, a rooftop bar, and then we have a parking lot across the street that eventually, when the time is right, that we'll redevelop and go vertical there. So the margins and the investment thesis behind adaptive reuse can be very lucrative and very intriguing. That to be said, not every building needs a second life. Not every building is going to work. We look at tons of different opportunities every week, and not every single one is going to be a project that we obviously pursue. So, these 2 projects that we have right now are both awesome, again, great bones, and going to be a very, very good project for our investors and our team.
That's great, man. No, so regarding the buildings themselves, because you alluded to the 2 that you're describing, what exactly attracted you? I know you talked about the basis, and obviously that is where it starts because it gives you a margin for error. But what about these buildings specifically was what led you to believe that you could potentially have this project work out the way you're intending?
We'll just go project by project. So the Aladdin, obviously location is huge. The location of the Aladdin right in the downtown urban core. right across the street from a city-led $120 million redevelopment of Barney House Plaza, which will be a 600-stall underground parking garage and a top floor 2.5-acre park, state-of-the-art. That's literally right across the street from us. We'll be the only multifamily property that is on the park in a sense. So that's huge. The Aladdin was built as an apartment hotel. It was built 1925, 224 rooms. 80 of them were apartments and 140 of them were hotel rooms. So when we walked through the building, it was very clear that it was a conversion that was needed to happen. It definitely is not a hotel to apartment conversion, because when you think about that, you're thinking about, take a hotel room, rip out one, make one bathroom and kitchen. We completely gutted everything. So we took it back down to the concrete floors, ceilings, and columns, and completely rebuilt everything. So the floor plans and layouts of the building for apartments are unbelievable. You would never have known that it was ever a hotel, because it's all brand new. And so average unit has 6 windows. With multifamily properties and adaptive reuse, a lot of times you're constrained by the columns, you're constrained by a lot of different things, and you often have very weird floor plans. The Aladdin has 6 different floor plans. That's it. There's 122 units, 6 floor plans. Makes it very simple, very easy from a leasing standpoint, from decision making for a renter. It just lays out very well. So the Aladdin, that's again, going back to basis, that also helps. The Holtman building definitely took a little bit more creativity. So this building, again, has 4 different end uses, and will be a hodgepodge. What's intriguing about that is that, again, it really allows us to be able to tap into our creativity, and it allows us to work with different small businesses, small business owners, et cetera, to really bring the community all together. So these lofts up there on the second floor will be some of the nicest lofts in Kansas City when they're done, because there's only 8 of them. We can really push and test a market for this project, which is really unique. So 4 of the units up there are 3-bed, 2.5 bath, heated bathroom floors, 3 shower heads, 12-foot islands, 8 burner gas stovetops, all vent hood gas. Like, it doesn't really exist from a rental standpoint here in Kansas City. Our average rents at the Holtman building here will be about $3,400 a month, which is not heard of, really. It'll be awesome though. It definitely shows the level of interest. We have all of them already leased out, and we're still 4 months away from opening.
That's great. So regarding that, interestingly, so you described the Aladdin as being a project that initially had what it was initially in its inception was a hotel residential type of development. Your thought throughout the process was, let's just gut this thing. I mean, the bones itself seemed to be pretty solid, 1920s construction. So you had the vision to say, look, like, I can make this into a high-end luxury, but also probably, and this is something I saw on some of your social stuff, is like playing to the history of the building, which kind of creates the uniqueness that brings people in and entices them to check out the project. And maybe that's a way to stand out amongst other projects that are going on around the city.
It's not a builder grade box. It's not a glass tower. It's one of our slogans for the renters that we've been there. It's for those with taste. It's one of the taglines.
That's amazing. So regarding the Holtzman building, just to elaborate a little bit on that, you mentioned that one's going to be a little bit more of not necessarily a hodgepodge, but you're going to have various different uses that are going to be on site. So kind of describe what the thought process was on determining which what type of office type or commercial type you would have on different parts of the structure.
Yeah, it's on a growing corridor here in Kansas City in the Crossroads Arts District. So the 3 spaces on the first floor, one will be home to a general contractor's office space. Actually, the general contractor is building out and doing the construction here. A creative co-working spot for creatives, so those in the film and marketing and content creation. In a way, like a co-working spot for them to be able to collaborate, work together, podcast studio, all that fun stuff. Another retail spot that we're hoping to finalize that last tenant for here in the next couple of weeks. And then the rooftop bar is going to be unbelievable, state of the art. I partnered with the same owner and operator behind a couple different concepts here in Kansas City, both for this bar and the bar that will be at the Aladdin. And then obviously the 8 lofts. So I think what we're missing in society a lot of, with development projects, is true third spaces and an ecosystem where people are inviting, they are collaborating, they're working together. And this will be the definition of a third space. So I'm going to live here, and I don't know when I'll leave. Like, what would be a reason to leave? I have a bar and grill in a sense upstairs. I've got this co-working spot down on the first floor. We have basement that has storage. We have my loft, which will be, awesome. The office space. You have parking. You're down by all the bars and restaurants, by the grocery store, right by the streetcar, all walkable. Why would I leave? And so creating spaces like that, I think, is really important. Whether you're doing adaptive reuse or ground up construction, people want to get away from the world. They want to see people. They want to get off their phones, get off their laptops, shake hands, and have those spaces. And I think it's really important that as we continue to grow and scale, to keep that in mind and keep creating those spaces for people.
That's great, man. No, really. So, regarding the evolution to where you're at today, because you mentioned how you went to college in Nebraska, started working for a developer, which is I'm sure was a phenomenal experience for you, because you got a chance to kind of drink from a fire hose, kind of get an understanding of how some of these projects are put together. And then you decided, I want to kind of replicate this on my own. And you started your development company. Talk to me a little bit about how you structured the initial deal that we were describing currently. I mean, did you already have a network of people that you were able to tap into, or was that partly where the social media platforms came into play?
So the Aladdin was a little different. The Aladdin, we just hit the pavement running. So I had my partners from Free Hill Capital, Max and Hunter, and the three of us, we had 30 days to go raise $3 million. And it was hit the pavement, Godspeed, not a whole lot of sleeping. It was unbelievable. So we did that. We finished up the final raise. So we raised the first $3 million, then we raised the last $3 million. We have 32 investors on that project. So keep that in mind. $6 million raise, 32 investors. Trust me, we hit the pavement running. From there, though, as we continue to start construction and get through a lot of these hurdles, closing on our tax abatement, closing on all of the historic tax credit, the bridge loans, navigating our parking agreement, all these fun things. The deal kept getting de-risked. And then it got to the point of us building out and being able to show people also online, but in person, what we're doing, our vision coming to reality. So then when it came time for this building that I'm sitting in now, the Holtman building, although the Aladdin's not done, the proof of the pudding was there. A lot of the people that were investors in that, they were like, hey, whenever you have a project again, we want in. So this building, it's great. Actually, I was just having dinner with my investors last night. We have 3 investors on this building, and they're wonderful. They're ready to roll on everything we have. And it's been great. So the compound effect is real. We have technically not raised any money from social media yet. That time will come. We're being very strategic about that, seeing that we have just over 575,000 followers across all of our platforms in just under a year. I know that there will be a time in which we'll be able to tap into that, and I know that we'll be able to raise tens of millions of dollars from the click of a button, which is pretty wild to say out loud.
Yeah, no, it's great. And outside of just raising out from social media, I mean, you've already kind of established yourself as a known commodity in your market. So
100%.
Whether or not you have just people that randomly find you on social media, the people that are in Kansas City that are, people that want to invest with you, they probably just heard, of what you're doing. And that's ultimately how in the future you're able to kind of tap into some of those resources. So it's just getting your name out there and letting people know about the projects that you're doing is ultimately going to lead to
it's
great
crazy.
things long term.
The past 4 weeks, we've gotten more opportunities sent to us all off market than we ever had before. We're not actively searching for deals. Deals are just coming to us. Same thing with the investors. Obviously, we're always seeking for more good investment partners, but it just comes to us. I think what's so crazy to really think about this, and I said this on a podcast the other day that's not out yet, was I don't know of a other developer or person or being or whatever it may, however we want to classify it as, that when you look at a building, you instantly think of Molzer Development, and that's crazy. I could show people, anyone in Kansas City, you show them the Aladdin, and they're instantly thinking of our name and brand. That's powerful. That's going to go a long way as we continue to grow and evolve, and we're really leaning into that. Like, I know, one day if someone comes and offers me a stupid amount of money to buy the Aladdin and we sell it, great. Molzer Development got its start and will always be known for the Aladdin, and that is that's why we have to make sure we don't mess it up, and we do it to the best of our abilities. It's really cool.
That's great, man. Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about the construction process. So you have had a little bit of experience in the past with this particular construction company that you were, or general contractor that you worked with in the past. Are you the one kind of running the show when it comes to the construction process, or you have partners, and how is
In a
that process
sense.
going?
So
Yeah.
both projects have a general contractor,
Mhm.
two different GCs for both projects, but in a sense, I act as the owner rep along with my vice president, Colin. We act as the owner's rep. We're on site every day being able to make the decisions and do everything very quickly. And there's a reason why our projects are going at a speed in which it has not been done in Kansas City before. And I attribute that 100% to us being on site and being active every day. We closed on the Aladdin June 1st of 2024 and navigated all the historic tax credits, all the financial closings, everything. And we will be done with that building in June of 2026. That's 2 years for a $38 million redevelopment of a 16-story, 100-year-old building. That's insane. This building that we're in right now, we closed on this one August 1st, and we will be done with this building by May 15th. An $8.5 million redevelopment of a building. That's unheard of.
August 1st of this last year. Is that what you're describing?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Wow.
The speed of it is unbelievable, and that's because we're able to make the decisions and solve the problems on site and it's quick. It doesn't have to work its way up a ladder to make a decision. Hey, this cabinet, we're doing field measurements. This cabinet is supposed to be 24 inches. We can only fit 22. Is a 20-inch cabinet fine? Sure, let's go. This color looks weird. I don't like that. Go to this color. Great, done. I think the other part is like for both projects, we brought probably 50% of the subcontractors and handed them over to the GC and said, here's who we're using for X, Y, and Z.
So you're able to control the quality and make sure that,
Just people that I vetted out and that I know and I trust that they're going to be able to do good work and, be able to say, hey, the XYZ GC, this is who I want to use for plumbing. You don't need to bid this out. Like they're the guy.
They're the guy. That's great. No, and you have trusted partners that you can rely on in that respect. So that's great. So regarding Kansas City as a city, my question regarding that is there any challenges with developing in Kansas City, or is it for the most part a pretty pro development metro?
Depends who you are. What's interesting is that traditionally speaking, Kansas City is not a very friendly place to develop. There's lots of red tape, lots of hoops to jump through. There are a lot of different things that are in play. And everybody was nervous for me, getting started here in Kansas City to going through the entitlement process and incentives and all that stuff, as a young buck, right? And I will say the first 6 months were not necessarily the most fun. There's definitely a lot of learning curve and a lot of hurdles having to jump through, at the time when I was 23, telling the city that we're getting ready to do this big project. You ask that question now and it's unbelievable. It's cake. Because we've built up the relationships within the city hall, everybody knows and loves what we're doing. They love the building and public aspect. They don't want us to, they know that we're going to talk about whatever's going on, good, bad, ugly or not. They don't want it to be ugly on their part. And so when it comes time for permitting, for reviews, questions, things that I need expedited, we get things done a lot quicker around here. And that's definitely a competitive advantage that we have. And we'll continue to leverage that as we continue to build here in Kansas City. And as other players want to enter the market, there's definitely a route in which we can help with consulting on getting things across the finish line at a much faster rate than what traditionally other developers are able to.
Yeah. It just goes to show that your commitment to building those relationships, particularly downtown and with all the different agencies that you need to connect with, is an important piece of the puzzle. And if you have those relationships, you're able to make things progress at a lot faster rate, which is great.
It's not about what you know. It's not about who you know. It's who knows you.
Yeah.
Our goal is to make sure that everybody knows who Molzer Development is.
Definitely. That's great, man. You guys are doing a great job. So one of the things I always ask, and you've talked about the good, the bad, the ugly. I mean, what have been some of the challenges that you guys have faced in some of these projects? And, how have you guys been able to overcome some of those challenges?
Yeah, with anything to do in a downtown urban core and an urban environment, there are additional challenges with development as opposed to a greenfield, right? You have to worry a lot about your neighbors, public works, easement, stormwater, things in the way of an alley, closing the street down. Right now, there's a big project going on right across the street with the Aladdin. One of the concerns over the past couple of weeks was, hey, how are we supposed to do our masonry work on the west side of the building when they have a crane that might hit it? So navigating that, working and coordinating with the city and their general contractors on that project saying, hey, I need you guys to shorten your crane by 5 feet. Otherwise, we can't do work here. If we can't do work here, then we can't open. If we can't open, then Zach's mad and bad things happen. So let's work together towards the common goal, short-term pain for long-term gain. Parking, being one, obviously there's no parking right now across from the Aladdin because it's undergoing construction. Well, how are you supposed to have 85 people working inside of a building every day, without anywhere to park? Having relationships, one of my good friends from Philadelphia, he ended up buying this lot downtown. It was about a block away from the Aladdin. and I was like, hey, it's an undeveloped lot. What if we rip down all the trees, we gravel it? Can I use this as construction parking? He said, done, let's roll. That's huge. So again, just little things that no one would think about. Again, when it comes to greenfield versus urban development, there's definitely a lot more hoops to jump through, which is partially why I'm very excited to break ground on our townhomes, because there's definitely a lot less nuances that go into those projects versus these when you're closing off streets and all that stuff.
Well, and to your point with being in the downtown urban core, I mean, there's just a lot more things that you have to contend with.
Biggest things is your neighbors. You got to have good relationships with your neighbors, and we are very fortunate to have very good neighbors at both projects.
That's great, man.
Because if your neighbors hate you, they can make your life hell.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Especially when you're dealing with entitlements and all that stuff, it just gets kind of convoluted. Especially when you have someone who really just doesn't want to see the project come to fruition, which it seems like you guys don't have that opposition. No. And I think part of that is that you guys are doing something that's going to be a net positive for the area, and you guys have a great story of what you're trying to manifest. So
100%.
That's great. So one of the questions I had related to the deals, because the reason I'm asking some of these questions is because we have a lot of people that are either in the brokerage space or they themselves are investors, and they're wanting to pursue some form of either developments or raising capital to do some of these deals. So regarding these particular investments, how do you structure the return expectations? And I know obviously these are all projections until it actually goes into active activity. So I'm just kind of curious as to that thought process. And when you're pounding the pavement at the beginning, was it just like, hey, this is kind of what we're thinking is going to happen, but obviously things evolve as they go along in the process. So I'm kind of curious if you could share some insights there.
Yeah, I'd say the first raise for the lot, the first tranche was definitely more like, hey, we're buying this building, we're going to convert it to apartments. Here's the game plan. There's going to be some things along the way that change. Remember, the first pitch, I think it was going to be 109 units and ended up being 122. So yes, things evolved and changed a little bit. For this building, nothing's really. I mean, we knew what we were going to do here.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, from the standpoint of raising funds for our thesis and everything is always our goal is to never sell anything. That's the point, because I want to build, develop, and create something that is worth holding, that is appreciating, that will not fall down and break in 10 years. So therefore, it's going to be a little more expensive up front, but it's going to be done right. And so from an investment thesis, and all of our investors know, from up front, it's, hey, you're in this thing for 10 years. Obviously, there are plenty of different ways to get out, before that 10-year period. Our high level in any of our projects, we'd like to, what we want from an investor standpoint is to be able to return all of their equity by year 5. They maintain their ownership, and then they're just getting a coupon from there. Because once the investors' dollars are back in their pocket, then, in my opinion, then and only then does it truly become passive income. So long as you're not completely, super levered and all that. So the Aladdin, for example, we raised funds on that one. It's an 80-20 over 7 pref with a GP catch-up. Ideally, we'll refinance on long-term HUD debt sometime in 2028. We'll be able to return 70 to 85% of investor dollars. And then from there, they'll get a 10% coupon every year and going out. The Holtman building will be able to refinance ideally sometime in spring of 27, maybe summer of 27. We'll be able to return all investor capital and then continue to give them a coupon from there. So the power of refinance, and those are still at lower leverage. Like the Holtman, ideally, we're taking out a loan at somewhere in the ballpark of 60, 65%. This is a very good opportunity. We're really excited about it. Obviously, we still have to execute, get the thing full, leased up, ready to roll, and finish with construction. But the right opportunities in redevelopment can be very lucrative, which is, again, exciting from an investor standpoint, exciting from our standpoint. But with that, what's interesting is because we don't want to sell, we need to make sure that we are also aligned with the LPs. Most developers, they don't make the money unless they sell. And so that's why we have different provisions and stuff in there where we have different rights to buy people out at fair market value, a promote crystallization clause to ensure that, again, we're still seeing some upside in the cash flow during that hold period. Because if you're not aligned with your LPs and you as the developer are incentivized to sell, because that's when you make money, but you have an asset that's cash flowing. These LPs are like, dude, why would we sell this thing? I'm getting 15%, on my money. My money's already back in my pocket. Why the hell are we selling this thing? It's because most of the time the developer, they don't want the money. They want to realize their gain too. And so making sure that we structure things the right way, and obviously every deal is different in terms of what we need, how we need to structure it. But yeah, that's the way we got things cooking here.
That's great. So did you leverage the services of like an attorney to kind of help structure some of this, or did you just already know a lot of this stuff from your previous experiences?
We have a handful of attorneys. We use like 5. Our legal bill last year was fun, to say the least.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. No, I can only imagine, man. So interesting. So regarding and we'll go back real quick to the social media, please, Keith, because you guys have done a phenomenal job over the last several years to kind of grow your presence on all these different platforms. So talk to me a little bit about what the impetus was to kind of go full force into it, and then maybe talk a little bit about some of the strategies you guys have employed to get to where you're at today.
Yeah, I mean, development is normally a very hush-hush world. People are scared to talk about things, show what's going on behind the scenes during construction, the investor stuff, all of that. And there's really only 2 people that you need to get on board with from, if you're an owner, operator, developer, to do it. You need your investors to be okay with it, and you need the lenders to be okay with it. Well, lucky for us, both of them are not only okay with it, they are excited by the opportunity in which it's going to present and has presented itself. So I mean, it was the first hire I made, was bringing on my chief of brand, Annie, to help share our story online. It took us 7 months to get 3,000 followers. And now, again, we're sitting at just over 575,000 in less than a year, which is crazy to think about. With that, the opportunities that come with building in public and sharing your story online are unbelievable. Deal flow, investor capital, outreach, city hall support, tenants, brand deals, everything. Molzer Development would not exist right now from a survival standpoint without it. And that wasn't the plan. There was not a plan to monetize or, for it to be any sort of income stream. But now it's beautiful because it does help cover our overhead. If a development shop has, let's say, $300,000 of overhead every year, to have their payroll and their staff, and they're trying to pursue deals, have earnest money and all that fun stuff, you have a couple $1 million to play every single year. Well, if I can say, hey, we don't have any overhead because our overhead is covered by the social media, our other business that we have, that gives us more dollars to go play with, to go put deals under contract, to go explore more opportunities. And that is where things really compound. So it's not necessarily the dollars or the eyeballs and anything that from that social media standpoint itself, but it's how can you take that and compound it to something even bigger? $100,000 of cash is great, but $100,000 added to your bottom line at a 6 cap, that's even better.
Yeah. Oh, 100%, man. You're exactly right. And I think it kind of goes to show that if you're deliberate about the way that you approach the social media, your social media presence, and you did a great job of, kind of seeing the vision and then hiring someone who was able to kind of execute for you, and all with you in tandem, obviously. But it's obviously led to where you're at today. And I'm assuming as you continue on with these different projects, it creates these case studies, is what I like to call it. We're taking on a few local developments here in Louisville, Kentucky, and we're doing the same thing.
It's a case study exactly of who we are, how we operate, what we're doing. It is our pitch deck, that's why it's great from an investor standpoint, is they can literally just watch any of our videos and go scroll and whatever, and you're going to know exactly what's going on behind the scenes during, we do send investor updates with numbers and things like that. But outside of that, there's no need to type up a report. Hey, here's what's going on in our project, because not only do they know what's going on, the world knows.
Yeah. And you guys do a good job of kind of sharing the good, the bad, the ugly. I mean, that's what I think people really gravitate towards, is that,
it's authenticity.
You could share, everything's rosy, but in reality, that during the day-to-day, things are going to happen. It's 100%. Inevitable when you're in development. So I think that, being real about what you're facing and how you guys overcame these obstacles kind of gives people confidence in you, because it says, okay, well, of course there's going to be things that you're going to face throughout the construction process, throughout the raising process, whatever it is, but these guys know how to handle it, and they've been through it, they've navigated, and they've gotten
then it's wrong. If everything's peachy, then it's wrong. You're doing something wrong, or maybe I'm doing something wrong. I don't know, but there's nothing that goes perfect.
No way, man. No, I mean, you have to be you need to become the person that ultimately is able to take on what you're taking on now, and in order to do that, you have to stretch, and you have to put yourselves in uncomfortable situations, and that's how you grow and expand. And the next time a similar type of opportunity comes around, now it's not, it's not cake, but it's a lot easier than what it was before, because you've already been through it. So I mean,
we're working on a project right now we're working on a project right now that we'll close on here by the end of March, and it's overwhelming. It's pretty big, but a year ago I wouldn't have even thought about doing it. Now I feel a little bit more comfortable doing it. We're still going to need to put together a killer team to be able to execute, because it's a big deal. But it'll be very exciting to be able to take that on.
Yeah, no, and again, the compound effect as you described. I mean, from where you were at in 24 to where you're at today, it's just slowly starting to build. So that's great, man.
Yep.
So regarding the future of the company, you've kind of described that your goals over the next year and change. You're talking about maybe onboarding another $140 million potentially in projects, 5 potential properties that you guys are actively pursuing, or I don't know if you've already closed on some of these or not. But so what is the vision over the next 5 to 10 years? What would you want you and Molzer Development to be known for over that period of time?
Yeah, I mean, again, creating unique spaces that people love where they live. They are thoughtful, they're curated, they're design focused, and they're the best of the best here in Kansas City. Over the next 5 years, I think we will. Again, it's a crapshoot, but we'll be in a very good spot as pertains to assets under management, doors, things like that. And it's crazy, because if you'd have asked me 2 years ago when I first started, where are you at in 2 years, I certainly would not have said where we are right now. So 5 years is exciting to think about. What is really crazy to think about is 10 years. 10 years from now, I think there will be a lot that has changed within the firm. I definitely see us in the next 5 years. I think we would like to be in other places as well. The next 3 years is still Kansas City focused. We've got a lot to do here, and Kansas City will always be home, and we will always have projects going on here. But in the next 5 years, I think that there will definitely be at least opportunities for us to expand out of our city and take our vision, our projects, and our ideas to another place. 10 years. I mean, it's wild to think about. I like to think a little bit more short term, in a sense of I'm not thinking with the end in mind, because there is no end. The end is just continuing to build, continuing to create these awesome spaces, places people can call home, hospitality focused, and just take the world by storm.
Good stuff, man. That's great. Well, I'm excited to follow along with the journey, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are going to be doing the same.
I'm excited to have it. It's the support from everyone online and in person, everything. I mean, that's part of the reason why we get up in the morning. It's so cool to have all the stories. My DMs are flooded with, my mom used to stay at the Aladdin, or this or that, and I love what you're doing. And then you have the creepy old men that are sending me hard eyes, and it's just, hey, everything helps though. And the support it's been unbelievable. And to think that we haven't even finished our first project yet is wild to think about. I tell our team, Molzer Development truly starts July of 26. Because that's when the Aladdin and the Holtman open up, and then it's not just we're doing it; it's we did it. What's next?
What's next? Yep, great stuff, man. That's awesome. So, well, I'll keep it relatively brief. I'll make sure to open it up to Q&A. So if you guys are watching this in a whatever format you're watching this, feel free to type away in the chat box if you guys have any questions. In the meantime, Zach, is there any question or anything in particular that we didn't address in this podcast that you'd like to share?
I don't think so. Again, it takes a village. There's no way we could do this without, the team that I've built here at Molzer Development, but also in our engineers, our architects, our general contractors, our partners on the projects, our investors, lenders. It's, being in development, you're the herder of cats, and trust me, there are a lot of cats.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I can only imagine. Okay. Yeah. And Brady was sharing some insights about some of the things we were talking about, so that's pretty good to see.
Yep, 100%. Old bones are definitely the best bones. Can be. Some old bones are not good bones.
Yeah.
We've walked through tons of buildings, and there are some where it is devastating, because it's like, you should probably just tear this down.
Yeah. Especially if there's water. Water kills everything, man. Like if there's any water intrusion,
people
it
get
just
scared about
ruin.
fires. People get scared about fires. I'm like, dude, water, way worse.
Way worse. Yeah, because you really just don't know what the impact is as it starts to run down all the walls. Oh my God.
Yeah,
we're working on a project
look
right
at this
now.
building. If there's a fire in here, what's happening? It's concrete columns, concrete ceilings, concrete floors, and brick walls. Nothing.
Yeah.
Water happens in here, bad.
Yeah, real bad. Well, it looks like you answered all the questions, man. I mean, I really appreciate your time. Really excited to continue to follow along with your journey. And yeah, I mean, Kansas City's lucky to have you, my friend. So
I appreciate
what
it.
I guess what if people want to learn more about you, if people want to follow along with your journey, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, just at Molzer Development, Molzer Development. You can find us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp. I mean, literally everywhere. So yeah, follow along, reach out, shoot me a text, email, smoke signal. I pride myself by answering every single email within 30 minutes. So my inbox is always open. So let me know. I'm always open book. There's no question I won't answer.
Definitely, man. Well, thanks again. And we'll make sure to include that in the show notes. So if you guys are watching this on YouTube, go ahead in the description. You'll be able to access that. And if you guys are listening to this in a podcast format, same goes. Just go to the description and we'll make sure to include all those links in the description. So
Love
Zach, thanks again for your time. It was really nice to meet you. I'm looking forward to staying in touch. And who knows if in the future our paths don't cross in person.
Amen. We'll have to get you to Kansas City.
Yeah, I'd love to, man. We had Logan Freeman on the other day. We've been back and forth one of a few things, and obviously Kansas City seems like one of those cities that is, people. It's
ready to boom.
It's a big city, and most people don't really consider it. Like when you think Kansas City, you don't necessarily think that it's a pretty large city, but it's a very large city. There's a lot of opportunity.
We have Netherlands, England, and Argentina all as host countries here in Kansas City.
Yeah,
3 of the top 10 teams in the world. Calling Kansas City home for the World Cup. There's a reason for that.
Yeah. Sports teams. And, again, you've got, a lot of economic activity, which is, again, a positive. And, I'm excited to at some point come and visit Kansas City because it seems like it could be just a good place to learn about different things, different projects that are going on. Now that we're connected, it'd be great to do that. So
that sounds like a plan. Well, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Oh, of course, man. I really appreciate your time. And for those of you guys who are watching this on YouTube, please go ahead and like and subscribe. It makes a huge impact on our ability to reach a broader audience, and we obviously greatly appreciate the support. If you guys are watching this in a podcast format, whether that's Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please leave a 5-star review. The more people that can actually engage with the podcast, the more people get inspired to take on their first commercial real estate development project. So thanks again so much for tuning in, and we'll see you all next time.